We are now on air. Time for a total takeover.
It's finally here. Welcome to a new episode.
It's about to go down.
Yes. It's yours truly, Dan Adams, aka the Soulful Conservative, the DA, and the Prostitute, coming to you live once again with the Dan Adams Show. And I hope everybody is doing well on this Friday evening. It's about 7:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I'm here in the city of Steel once again. I'm just looking outside. We got some snow today. Had a mixture of rain, sleet, snow from, I guess, maybe late afternoon yesterday until now. And not sure how it is in your neck of the woods, but that's how it is here in the city of Steel. Before I get into the nit and grit of today's episode, I want to just bring up these two particular John Hopkins studies. You probably are aware of them, but I just want to bring them up for posterity. The first one was liberal media blackout on John Hopkins study, finding pandemic lockdowns ineffective and harmful. So I know most of us try not to watch the lamestream media, ABC, CBS, CNN, NBC, MSNBC. I didn't see, of course, anyone bring up or broach these particular studies from John Hopkins because, once again, it goes against the narrative. So they can't talk about these topics and these particular studies. The things that we knew about maybe a month or two back in 2020. And the other wonderful John Hopkins study that just came out today, I believe, antibodies detected up to 21 months with natural immunity. Let me repeat that again. Antibodies detected up to 21 months with natural immunity. So we won't hear this on the mainstream media. We won't hear this on the tech giants. Definitely won't hear it from St. Fauci, because to this day, he still won't recognize and won't give natural immunity the due that it's needed. It just blows my mind. We are on year 3 of this, ladies and gentlemen. Year 3. They don't want to talk about natural immunity. They don't want to admit that the COVID jab is not a vaccine, it's a therapeutic. They don't want to talk about alternative therapeutics like ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, monoclonal antibodies, and the like. We're 3 years into this, and these individuals know there's tons of studies out there now that they don't want to cite in regards to ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, monoclonal antibodies. Knowing these therapeutics help curb the infection of COVID and brings you to a state of healing quicker than you would just ride it out. And for a lot of people, they have rolled out COVID and haven't had any issues. And excuse me, I'm gonna knock off my headset here. And it is amazing to see. Like I said, we are this is year 3. Year 3 that we're still talking about this. It's a lot of people are just about done. I've been done since 6 months into this thing. But now we have students across the country, from what I'm seeing on Rumble and TikTok and other areas, where they're walking out defying these mask mandates. I had seen one on Dinesh Souza's Rumble page that some kids that were seniors and they let it walk out and they had like hundreds of kids in the parking lot and they were saying, "Hey, do not come to school with a mask on." Teacher, he said this was really good. This was very, very, and I mean, very smart of him, very adult-like, very mature. He was like, we want to do this peacefully. We want to be respectful. So if a teacher says you need to put your mask on and they tell you don't, you have to put it on, then you respectfully say, no, I'm not. And if they tell you to leave, then leave, go outside. Senior said they got cars. If you need to get a ride home, they're willing to drive you home. I'm thinking to myself, we have 17 and 18-year-old high school kids being the adults in the room. And to me, that's shameful. I applaud these young men and women, but where are the actual adults in the room to actually give these individuals some better footing, if you want to say? But yet they're leading this now. They're leading this, not us adults, these high school kids. It's just amazing. Well, I want to get into this first clip today and start off with Sleepy Joe. I figure I'd get him out of the way first before we get into anything else. But if you didn't see any of the footage when he was at the national, oh gosh, I'm thinking what's if I'm saying this correctly, I'm probably saying it wrong. But the National Day of Prayer Breakfast, thank you. This is what he had to say in regards to segregationists. Just take a listen. This is Sleepy Joe. Let's roll the tape.
And I remember when I first got here, after my wife and daughter were killed in an accident, my boys were still in the hospital. And I remember Teddy would always come and say, come to lunch. I didn't want any part of going to lunch. And one day he just dragged me over to lunch. He said, you'll learn more there than any place else. And I would go to lunch there literally every day and listen to the senior members. And you learn about their losses, their happiness. You learn about them. You learn about their, I remember one day I walked in and there was a little corner in the table, or a corner table, when the big table was filled. And I sat and Jim East said, come over here, Joe, sit down here. And I wasn't about to sit in John Stennis' seat. And because he sat at the head of the table. And he said, no, come on, he's gone. So I ordered my hamburger, whatever the devil I ordered, took a couple bites, and then walks John Stennis. And I immediately put a napkin on all my stuff, and I said, I'm finished, Mr. Chairman. Come on, right here. I later got a handwritten letter from him about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I appreciate the honor of you recognizing my seat, but you didn't finish your meal. I promise this favor will be returned. In return, he actually endorsed me and I ran for president from Mississippi. I think that was an expensive hamburger for him. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, when you know one another, and no matter how badly you disagree, and people think, Rev, that in the days that's divided here, we had a lot of flat-out old segregationists still in our caucus. But Teddy Kennedy would argue like hell with Jim Eastland, and then they'd go down and have lunch. Didn't agree with one another, but they treated each other with respect even in that day.
Something wrong with his medulla. Oh my God! I'm sorry I cut the clip off for my favorite part, but yeah, it's like I almost fell asleep. Sleepy Joe almost made me fall asleep. But did anyone understand what he was saying? Did anyone have a clue? There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sleepy Joe, former Vice President of the United States of America. I'm not even going to expound on that one because that one is just, let's just leave that one there. You take it to where you need to take it. Whew, Lord have mercy. All right, let's get into this next clip. And This is another eye turner, a mind-boggling, just what is going on. But I'm not surprised. I really am. I am not surprised. The universities and colleges across this country and the professors, teachers, faculty, these individuals are just complete and utter, just leftist numbnut moonbats. And what I'm about to play right now is a quintessential example of that.
Imagine that an adult male wants to have sex with a 12-year-old girl. Imagine that she's a willing participant. A very standard, very widely held view that there's something deeply wrong about this, and it's wrong independent of it being criminalized. It's not obvious to me that is in fact wrong. I think this is a mistake, and I think that exploring why it's a mistake will tell us not only things about adult child sex and statutory rape, but also about fundamental principles of morality.
What? This is a professor at a university here in America, basically saying that he doesn't have a problem with adults having sexual relations with a child. That's what he just said. And I think I heard or saw a statement, I think I heard it on the radio, that the president of this university came out and said, hey, these views that he expressed is not what we uphold here as our standard and our morality here at the university, and this matter is under investigation. What do you need to investigate? He just told you how he felt about man and child having sex. There really isn't much more to say. There really isn't no need for an investigation. The man should be fired. Tenure should be taken away, or whatever. Just completely removed from that university. Just removed from teaching our young adults. Yes, young adults. Remember, I'm going to keep saying this until my time is done here on earth. Your brain is not fully formed until age 26. So we have these leftist numbnut moonbat professors in these universities and colleges espousing this stuff to our kids in class, our young adults, the ones who are going to take over when we are long gone. It's utterly despicable. The debauchery that runs rampant in the leftist hemisphere, it is just something to behold. I just really, sometimes you just don't have the words to say when it comes to something like that. But I wanted to play that, and you probably heard it, but I just wanted to play it on this episode for prosperity once again, and to just reiterate the fact that leftist numbnut moonbats are running rampant in academia, and especially in our universities and colleges. This next clip I want to play, and I'm really going to expound on this one after this is played, but this is basically New Yorkers coming out and saying, hey, no matter what Circle Jen Psaki said, that I'm a New Yorker, I know what's going on. I am in the trenches every day. I have to walk down these streets in New York City realizing that violence is running rampant. But Jen Peppermint Patty Circleback Psaki likes to make jokes about Fox News and any other punditry out here, pointing out the rampant violence just running through our country, primarily run by Democrat mayors, Democrat governors, Democrat local city council. And it's just horrible that our men and women in police precincts across this country have to deal with individuals like Jen Psaki. But I'm going to let the New Yorkers let you know what's going on and how they feel.
Democrats excuse.
Crime is becoming very an issue.
I know people won't get on the subway. People rearrange their day around it.
Crime is out of control in New York City.
When you get too lax, these type of things happen. During these times, people are desperate.
It's all political. That's why he's coming.
I think the president can help, some funding from federal government to help the city, the fight gun violence.
I think it's a total waste. He's going to do absolutely nothing to help New York City.
If the president can play the middle role, but if he plays on the side of the left and keeps talking about the whole defunding agenda, it's not going to happen.
Political. It's all political. That's why he's coming. For no other reason. And to give Mayor Adams support, I guess.
Every president, there's a lot of, they sell dreams. Let's see what happens.
I grew up in this city, and I'm 75 years old, and I cannot believe what's happened in this city.
As a New Yorker, because I have a business here, it's very challenging to have people comfortable walking in the streets.
My mom speaks to me every night. She's scared to go out. Unfortunately, where she lives at, crime is up in the Bronx. Oh, of course, crime has definitely gone up. In the subways, there are instances in the Bronx that I hear about. I never used to hear about all these things.
Even my customers, they're being very afraid after 5 o'clock to walk in the city.
It's been a problem since before COVID when they passed the bail and discovery laws. The state legislature passed them, Cuomo pushed them through, and it's changed everything. Unfortunately, a lot of people are doing bad. COVID, when people don't have money, crime goes up.
Sadly, no one is caring. No one is taking care of all these issues.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, from the mouths of New York City citizens having to deal with the uptick in violence in their city. And the one thing that got me was the one lady who said where she owns her own business and that her customers are afraid to walk at 5 o'clock. Not 10, not 11, not 12. 5 o'clock. They're afraid to walk the streets of New York City. And that coward, former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden, decides to go to New York City and talk to the new mayor. And talk about what? We saw what he was mainly espousing about in regards to the Second Amendment and gun control and stopping foreign guns from what do you mean foreign guns? There are I take that back. With the gun running under the Obama administration, yeah, them guns were coming in from Mexico. They're probably still proliferated across the country. But he's making it seem like because guns are coming in from different states, we need to stop these foreign guns from coming into New York City and the New York State. What's he even talking about? Once again, we got Sleepy Joe asleep at the wheel, has no idea what he's talking about, and he's a coward, ladies and gentlemen. He's an absolute coward. He shows up a day after the 2 funerals of the young police men, these young men that were killed, gunned down, and I can't even imagine the widow of the one police officer, the first one that was laid to rest, and she was on point with her eulogy about that DA now in Manhattan. She was on point. And for anyone that's going to attack her in any form or fashion, come see me. Come personally see me. And we can deal with it whatever way you feel we need to deal with it. Because this young woman lost her husband needlessly. A rookie and a few years veteran on the NYC police force gunned down trying to help an elderly mother whose neurotic and psychotic son, who shouldn't have even been on the streets, shouldn't have been left out. He should have been in prison. They get the call because this mother's son is beating her up, probably 5 inches from death by the time they got there. And he had this modified gun that looks like a gun from Russia. These 2 police officers didn't have a chance because they were going in there thinking, okay, we're not going to run up on something like this. I know they were probably cautious, but they weren't like, okay, we need to get SWAT in here. We need to get, vests. We need to get this. We need to get that. Excuse me. You shouldn't have to be worrying about individuals like this who should be in prison or in a mental institution somewhere. And granted, we all know that the life of a police officer and the danger that comes with being a police officer, these young men and women who decide to become police officers, they know what they're getting into. And then our veterans who have stood the test of time still know what they have to deal with and what dangers that are out there. But they still put on that uniform and they go out and try to do the best job that they can. But when you have individuals, especially these past few years, wanting to defund the police, excuse me, when you have individuals making out police officers as if they're murderers, and we all that a high 90% majority of police officers across this country are not racist, they're not bigoted. They chose this profession to help us. They chose this profession to make a difference. They chose this profession to protect and serve. But when you have individuals on the left and the mainstream media continually demonizing them on a daily basis, and I'm hoping that most of our policemen and women out there are not on social media, not watching the news, but you can't help it nowadays. But I'm hoping that our policemen and women are not getting bogged down with this hate. And I pray for them every single day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this next clip. It's from The Five, and we're going to talk about mask hypocrisy and insanity, ladies and gentlemen. Mask hypocrisy and insanity at its finest.
Democrats' excuses for breaking their own rules somehow getting even more pathetic. L.A. Mayor Eric Garcetti got busted over this maskless photo he took with Magic Johnson at the NFC Championship game. He was one of 3 Democrats defying an indoor mask mandate that says you have to cover up unless actively eating or drinking. Garcetti finally getting asked about it and channeling the Bill Clinton didn't inhale excuse.
I wore my mask the entire game, and when people ask for a photograph, I hold my breath and I put it here and people could see that. There's a 0% chance of infection from that. If I'll take personal responsibility, and if it makes you and everybody else happy, or even the photographs with people where I'm holding my breath literally for 2 seconds, I won't even do that.
And if liberals, it's unbelievable. Scroll back, I missed that sentence. And if liberals are concerned about Garcetti putting people at risk, don't worry, he has it all figured out.
If you want, bring medical evidence to me or something that, well, if you hold your breath with this off, you're really endangering people, I get it. I won't wear it I won't pull it down for 2 seconds anymore. That's easy. But to me, it is crystal clear that nobody has been endangered by that, and I'm trying to model the good behavior of making sure we wear this entire game.
My goodness. All right. And while Democrats don't think it's wrong to break their own mask rules, just look at what they're doing to kids all across America. In some Virginia schools, students are reportedly being threatened with 10-day suspensions for defying mask mandates and potential trespassing charges if they don't cover up. Just listen to what one school official is saying.
Until you arrive, your children will be held in an in-school restriction situation here at school. It's important that I point out to you that they are not allowed on campus or on Loudoun County Public School property. Starting tomorrow, it will be considered trespassing.
There you, ladies and gentlemen, what is going on? We are in year 3 of this, where we know these cloth masks don't work. We've known it since almost day 1. And I'm talking about the ones with some common sense about them. And it's taken 2 years for the CDC, the NIH, the WHO, and whatever else alphabet to come out and say that cloth masks don't work, that you should be putting on these N95 masks. They'll give you some better protection. They're not going to completely keep you protected. You'll get some better protection. But ladies and gentlemen, in California, they are forcing 5-year-olds to wear KN95 masks, if you didn't know. Yes. California, the land of fruits and nuts, are making 5-year-olds wear KN95 masks for 6 to 8 hours a day in school. I was having a discussion with someone earlier in the week in regards to, and I'm glad, as I stated earlier, there's some high school kids across the country that are saying enough is friggin' enough. Because if here, especially in this county of Loudoun County in Virginia, I'm thinking to myself, okay, you have Glenn Youngkin, now the new governor of Virginia, with saying, hey, we're done with masks, but yet these, local school and superintendents, local schools and superintendents, these local school systems in Virginia, in particular Loudoun County, are defying the governor's legally upheld mandate that no more masks in school. This is their red herring, ladies and gentlemen. COVID has been their red herring from day 1. Now, I get it. At the beginning of COVID, when no one knew exactly what this virus was, the measures that they took for the 14 days to flatten the curve, okay. But then when we start getting into 3, 4, and 5 months on lockdown, and nobody could just come out and say, this is not working. Masks are not working. 6-foot distancing is not working. Staying home is not working. We're on year 3 of this. I keep having to repeat this. We're in year 3 of this madness, this COVID madness. So you have the insane hypocrisy of leftists like Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles and Governor Newsom of California and all across the country. You have this insane hypocrisy and this insane lunacy still going on with masks. I mean, I have no one to talk to right now, but I'm just thinking to myself, you, my imaginary friend, what is going on? You, my imaginary friend, what is going on? Why are we still wearing masks? If masks worked, why aren't masks working? If masks worked, why haven't they worked? If you want to wear a mask, I'm talking to all you individuals who love and want to wear a mask, go right ahead. Wear 15 masks. I don't give a damn. You wear how many masks, shields, whatever, bubbles. I don't care. Do whatever you want. But do not force me and other individuals who don't want to wear a mask. Do not demonize us. Do not try and call us out. Do not make us out as the devil because we don't want to wear a mask when we know that masks don't work. If you want to wear a mask until the cows come home. Just so sick and tired of this. I'm so sick and tired of it. So we talked about Sleepy Joe Biden and his weird speech at the National Day of Breakfast. We talked about that college professor who thinks it's okay for adults to have sex with kids. We talked about the New York City citizens, residents, just done with the upheaval in crime, done with the uptick in crime, done with the crime that is happening in their city. And we just talked about mask hypocrisy. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is my final clip for this evening. And I don't like leaving off on something sad, but this particular story needs brought to your attention if you don't know about it. So if any of my leftist friends out there that are listening to this or happen to see this, this is what happens when leftist governors and leftist mayors and leftist local city councils are allowed to throw their version of law and order upon us. This, ladies and gentlemen, and you'll see what I'm talking about, this is what you get.
DHS is rescinding the deportation of an illegal immigrant who killed 19-year-old Adrian Sophia Exum while he was driving drunk. Joining me now, Ken Paxton, Texas Attorney General, Rhonda Exum, Adrian's mother, and Trinette Gamboa, Adrian's cousin. Thanks to all three of you for being here. Rhonda, I absolutely, as a parent, cannot imagine your pain. When you heard your daughter's killer was not going to be deported, what was your reaction?
First of all, my reaction was, why? I wasn't told in the beginning, that he wasn't going to be deported, but I was told that he was. So I really want to know why.
Do you have any sense as to why? Is there anything, any reason you can come up with as to why? Because I can't.
That's a good question. A very good question. I wish somebody can tell me. Because, to me, by him not being deported, it's like you telling me my daughter's life didn't mean anything.
And I can't imagine what that feels like as a parent. Just know that your daughter's life did mean something. I want to make that abundantly clear. Trinette, how much of a punch in the gut is this decision by DHS?
It's very unfortunate. I was shocked, actually. I'm thinking that he was going to be punished, for that. But, they didn't care. They don't care.
And I feel like that sense is something we hear all too often from the victims and their families. Why does the administration not seem to care about me, about my family member, about my situation? AG Paxton, Alejandro Mayorkas says removal, quote, will be focused on those who are a threat to public safety. The guy killed Rhonda's daughter. How much more of a threat does Mayorkas need to see?
Apparently, it doesn't really matter. I think I feel sad for this family because the reality is I believe that Biden has betrayed our country. He's betraying families that are losing people right and left, whether it's through fentanyl overdoses or crimes or issues just like this. It's hard to understand, and it is hard to answer the question of why. And I think the answer to why is that they have greater goals that are more important than saving members of families.
Trinette, talk to me a little bit about what the community that you live in is experiencing right now. Have they been supportive of you and your fight?
Oh, definitely, definitely. As soon as it happened, we had just the outpour of love, and it's been amazing, actually.
What do they want to see happen to the guy that killed your cousin?
The same thing, like what's going on, because it's not only that he hit her, he took off and ran, and that's the unfortunate part too.
Rhonda, what is your message to the Biden administration when it comes to border policies?
Well, my message is look out for the American people first. Because, truth be told, this was literally my first time voting, and I voted for you, and I feel disappointed right now.
What did you,
I don't understand.
What did you think Joe Biden was going to do for you, and what hasn't he done for you?
Well, I thought he was going to, talk for the American people, basically, and not for himself.
And in the year that he's been in office, what have you experienced? Besides, obviously, a tragedy involving your daughter and the lack of sending this guy who did it to your daughter away.
Absolutely nothing. I'm sorry. I hope this that don't sound wrong, but I don't feel anything. I don't feel that he has done anything but disappoint.
And again, I always ask the why. Any sense as to why he hasn't done anything in this year in office, and why he's created situations where your daughter's killer gets to stay in our country even though he shouldn't be here?
Can anybody answer me that? I would like to know why. I really would.
It doesn't make a lick of sense. Like so many things that this administration is doing, it's not what they promised us, and it doesn't make a lick of sense. And it's victims like you, Trinette, and of course like you, Rhonda, that have to deal with the consequences. We want to thank all three of you, Trinette, Rhonda, and Ken Paxton, for being here. Ken, you do have a challenge against Mayorkas on these changed rules that allow an individual like the killer of Rhonda's daughter to stay in our country. Please keep us posted as to how that works. And Rhonda and Trinette, our thoughts and prayers are with you. That's not going to bring her back, but certainly we are with you. Ashley, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I didn't want to end tonight's show on a sad and just utterly depressing note. But first of all, my condolences go out to this family who lost their loved one. The man should never have been in this country, number one. And the fact they have not deported this man goes to show, and we're seeing evidence now, we've seen it on tape now, where they're just allowing these individuals to just pour into our country illegally, put a burden on the taxpayer, and then you have unfortunate, tragic incidents like this. And no one is held accountable. No one is there to answer the questions that this mother has, who just lost her child, who for the first time voting in her life, voted for Joe Biden, thinking he was going to do something to help us, the American people. And she is just sitting there flabbergasted, wondering why. I know why. If I was on that Fox News segment, I would have told that mother why. Most of us out here know why. Because on the campaign trail, former Vice President Sleepy Joe Biden said, "Come to the border. We will let you in no matter what the circumstance. The border is open. To hell with Trump and his policies that brought illegal immigration down to the point that we have not seen it in decades. His first batch of rescinding all of the policies that Trump put in place in regards to immigration and the border. And here we have once again, a tragic consequence of leftism in America. Thank you for tuning in. You can catch yours truly, Dan Adams, host of this show, The Dan Adams Show, here on Facebook Live. Missed last night, some craziness going on, but I'm going to try and do this Monday through Friday the best I can, whether it's here, sitting in my front room of my house, down in the studio, in my basement, in my car, whatever. But I'm going to do my best to bring you a show Monday through Friday. Thank you for tuning in. And once again, as I always say, may God bless you and yours. May he keep you and your family safe. Until next time, God bless. Peace.